Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they got into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
The first two races have shown that Karjalainen and Partanen look very evenly matched this season. If both manage to avoid major mistakes and stay out of trouble, the title might wind up being decided by the smallest of margins. With so much weight on performing well at every round, will either buckle under the pressure? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Mick Claridge. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Sebring saw a Formula One visit long before the time of the Lotus 79, but it's still a great venue for this amazing open-wheeler. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, Mick, with a car that gets most of its downforce from the underside of it, I'm sure the bumps here are not going to be the friends of these drivers today at Sebring.
No, absolutely, mate. This is the first thing you need to say about this track is bumps everywhere. It's sort of a track of two halves. I've always seen this as probably one of the best sort of airfield layouts that there is on the planet. But like I said, it's just proper old school. It seems like a track of two halves. Like I say, it's one side of it is like nice and smooth, sort of tarmacy asphalt sort of type of stuff, and then you got these areas where it's just literally the old airfield surface, and it just looks like huge, great big blocks of concrete still there for the surface, and it's a nightmare to come off some of these corners, Joe. Just looking at the map there, one place to note is Sunset Bend. This corner's got about 1 million lines through it. It's got a huge bump right in the middle of it if you get it wrong. The exit's a nightmare. You've got tyres sticking out. And turn one, just looking at the map there, just after the start-finishing line, look at turn one. That's a huge corner. That is so fast. Trying to nail the exit is going to be a nightmare for these guys. Lots of runoff, but yeah, lots of mud to hit there as well. It's going to be a good race today.
Yeah, should be fascinating to watch out there. And as for the championship, while it's been a win apiece between Karjalainen and Partanen, there are bonus points that come into play. And that's what has allowed Timo to hold the points lead right now over Pauli. Now, Jukka Tolinen and Andreas Henkel very close behind there in third and fourth. Tolinen's been kind of the one that's just been sitting around and picking up the pieces with podiums himself. I wonder if maybe we'll see him sneak a win if something happens to Timo or Pauli at some point during the season, because he certainly looks quick enough to be challenging for it on his good days. And then from there on down, it's only 2 races in, so it's still relatively close for much of our drivers. We also have the brand new F2 Drivers Championship, and this is for drivers 3,000 iRating and below, of which I don't think we have any in this top split today.
Yeah, we were just saying, Joe, top split today. So cream of the crop are in this race. Not sure how many of these guys are here today, so just have a run through. Marco Salgado, 40 points, and Thomas Bartha, -4. Ace Soltero, -15. Antonio Alvarez in fourth. Fifth, Marco Flacqua. Sixth, Fausto Bergmeister. This is a list of names, isn't it, Joe? Seventh, seventh, Adam Kell. Eighth, Jack Wells. Ninth, Paul Schmelagenberg, or how you have to say that. And number 10, David Azvedu.
And as for today's race, we're going to see 23 laps around this circuit. It's open setup. That could be a bit of a talking point, considering, as Mick mentioned, there's kind of 2 different natures to this track with the long straights and the twisty bits. So which way do you go with it? No spare car if you wind up getting damaged. So if you have to trundle down that pit lane, it's going to be very costly, considering there are no scheduled pit stops in this series. Drive-through penalty at 17 incidents, disqualification at 25. There's a few places you could pick them up, but usually you don't want to be putting tires off the racing surface at this track for sure. Interesting to note as well, I had a chance to look at our iRating. Lowest iRated driver, Nick Mukanos at 3,600. 3,600.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, I'll tell you what, Joe, and not only that is, I mean, you know, I've been around these classic series for a long time. I have said for years, I think the Lotus 79 guys really are the cream of the crop of all the classic series. I think these are some of the best drivers on the planet I think I've ever seen in sim racing, to be honest with you. Apart from the pros who we don't really talk about there, and you know those sort of guys. But yeah, so yeah, this is really it today, mate.
Well, I mean, some of them are the pros, we have to admit. You think of guys like Jamie Fluke and Scotty Rina, who have both raced here regularly. So those are both big-name black stripe drivers here on iRacing. So yeah, to be up at the top level of this car really requires incredible skill. And Timo Karjalainen, who is yet to set a time, is on his first flying lap right now. Let's see what he can do here, as he's got the number 1 on his car with an iRating of over 6,000 to his name. He's coming down into some of the more twistier parts. In fact, one of the most narrow parts here through Collier. And as you can tell, the sun is right on the horizon, but that's not the sunset, as with the name of the last corner, Mick. This is a sunrise race.
yeah, they like to get up early in these 79 races and get things done early, don't they? But listen, one thing to note about Timu today, I've been watching him. His car is on absolute rails, Joe. I mean, I'm just watching the steering inputs now, just as he's exiting the corner now. He is hard on the power. Obviously, the car's light on fuel, and this is going as fast as he can go. Just one more corner to go now, Joe. Sunset bend. Let's just watch his line through here and just watch the power application and the steering inputs, because this is serious commitment. This is.
Yeah, right now, keeping an eye on Mukanos as well, who's just ahead of him, and Mukanos up to 12th with this one, but Karjalainen with his first lap is a 44.5, and that is good enough for pole, but by 26 thousandths of a second. Jukka Tolvanen is the one chasing him, and he's on his final flying lap right now. He is actually on the Ullman Straight as well. There he is on your screen in the number 3. Again, he's been the one that's following our top 2 in the championship and these first 2 races. Can he put the cat amongst the pigeons?
Yeah, but it's surprised to see Paulie Parton down in 5th at the moment. How many laps has he done? I can't tell yet. Hopefully he's got another lap to go, but not sure. Good to see Alex Millward up there. He's only 10th and a half off of Yuka. So good lap from Alex. But yeah, interesting to see what Paulie's going to do.
And Tolvanen did improve, but he's 100th of a second behind Karjalainen. 44.562 to the 44.552 of Timo. Partanen is actually out of Sunset Bend on his second lap right now as we're watching Gallus on our screen, one of the few that have yet to set a time. Partanen 44.6. That's going to put him into 3rd. Right now, your top 4. Oh, Millward just pipped the wall and is now up to a 44.501. Even still, your top 4 are split by 0.15 of a second.
Oh, Joe, where did that lap come from? Do you know what? I'm one of Alex's biggest fans. I like watching these guys race. I like Gernot Fritsch. I've always loved watching Gernot, and I love watching Alex. And yeah, that's a brilliant lap by Alex. I'm really pleased for him there. I mean, that's the cream of the crop, Joe. This is unbelievable stuff.
This is going to be an interesting race, especially if Alex can maybe steal a march on these guys. And, oh, no, Timo Karjalainen has responded, and he has responded in a big way, 0.3 ahead of any other driver. That is a massive gauntlet throw down. None of the others have laps left to try and challenge him, and just a couple other drivers able to complete laps here in these last 10 seconds, as I believe Freckleton, he's going to be the last one across, a 45.9. That'll put him into 16th, and that is it for qualifying here today. Wow. That was a dramatic turn of events there, and our pole sitter is going to wind up being Timo Karjalainen anyways by a much bigger margin than we anticipated. Alex Millward will start from 2nd. Jukka Tolvanen will be P3, and Pauli Partanen will start 4th. Michael de Turk from 5th place here in this race will be flanked by Andreas Henkel. Kimmo Viekainen will be in 7th, and it's Phil Reed starting P8, followed by Timothy Reed. No relation in 9th. Karthik Pai, the Texan, will round out your top 10 here, Mick.
Yeah, 11th spot, Tony Garcia. Jordan Gronkowski, good to see him back in 12th. Timothy Vaughan in 13th. Nico Java in 14th. Phil Lake, there he is, the legend, 15th spot. Dylan Freckleton next to him in 16th. Xavier Sanchez, 17th. Nicholas Makanos in 18th. David Rodriguez, 19th. And Aitor Sintes Galindo in top 20.
Last 2 didn't set a time. Daniel Gallus and Mike Rasimas are the last amongst them. 22 cars, and there is a very low temperature out there, so I wonder if they'll have to really work on trying to get these tires into working order at the start of this race. We were talking about how steep the I rating is in this top split. 44K, I believe, is the average strength of field that we've got, but then you compare that with the 2nd and 3rd splits that are happening right now. 2nd is 2.7K, which is still pretty high up there, and then 1792 for the 3rd split. So it's not just these top guys that are fast. Everybody who seems to sign up in these old Lotus F1 machines is ready to go racing with a lot to back them up. But everybody is out on the grid as the engines now start to rev and the lights come up for round 3 of the Sunday Grand Prix series. and the green flag is out off the line. Millward looks pretty decent. Oh, it's a bit of a slow start. No, in the second phase for Alex, and Tolanen's going to be able to get by. Karjalainen starts to pull away. Down into turn one, they fly. Are they going to make it out of this corner that narrows up safely? It looks like they're good.
Yeah, Alex had a real problem, didn't he, in the second phase of that start. His initial getaway was brilliant. In fact, I think he was the first one to nail it, and then just lost it in the second part there. Too wide from the exit of turn two has given Timo a bit of a gap now out in front.
Great start from everybody. It was clean all the way down here towards the hairpin, but this is where it starts to check up. Millward having to go defensive down into there on Tolanen. He will rebuff him as everybody else cycles through one of the slowest corners on the lap. Still no incident, shockingly.
Well, that's unbelievable. I haven't even looked to see, Joe. Well, this is top split, isn't it? So that's what we were saying. So maybe the guys, sorting it out. Interesting to note, we're going to have a look and see Yuka's top speed. We've heard he's got a bit of a trimmed out car today. Let's have a look at him when he gets to the back straight, see if we can do anything with Alex. I'm not sure I'm going to want to be Alex looking in his mirror down the back straight there in the sunset.
No doubt about that. Yeah, it is top split, but often you'll see drivers be ultra aggressive at this level. So for them to really give each other space is a testament to the camaraderie that these guys have, wanting to try and get this going, and then they'll try and settle it out. You can see them now all flying down the Ullman Straight as 22 cars head towards Sunset Bend in anger for the first time. And it looks like Karjalainen's going to be nice and smooth into there. Millward remains in that second position, and Tolanen will round out the top three. All 22 cars are going to make it through the first lap without incident. Fantastic racing.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Just one other thing I've noticed earlier in the practice sessions, Joe, is the limits these guys use when they're heading into turn one. They are so close to the wall on the entry. It's unbelievable. It's track limits just beyond belief. We talk about track limits as being 1Xs and stuff like that, but no, you watch these guys today, Joe, they're going to be so close on that entry. And the apex to sunset as well. Some of the guys will be taking that nice early line through there. I noticed Yuka doing that earlier. Maybe a little bit of pain trying to get off the corner that way, but no. Maybe about a read off of Alex. So the best way to deal with that is.
Dylan Freckleton had an off out of turn one this time, returned to the track. He fell down to 19th because of that. Didn't hit anything, thankfully. Not much separating our top runners now, so Millward is back on Karjalainen. He's not letting him run away with it. Tolanen's still right with him as well as they head into Tower once again. Hartonen, who again is second in the points, is still down in fourth. Doesn't seem to quite have the pace today compared to what we saw at the first two races.
Yeah, just watching the guys' lines now through towards this Le Mans section. It's a nice section. Take a massive chunk of that curb on the inside there. Timo's all the way. Oh, Alex is really pushing the limits there on the way out of that corner now. And then here we go now again down the straight, down to the sunset. Just watching Timo's now. Just interesting to see these guys' different lines through this corner, Joe. There's so many different lines you can take, and the bumps are horrendous right in the middle of this track. This is all that old airfield layout. Look at the lines across the track there. It's never been updated since God knows when. So yeah, great to see these cars on the limit through that section.
Oh, we've had our first wreck. Phil Lake coming through Sunset Bend. He's going to be able to get it going once again. I'm not sure if he actually hit anything, but the car did go around, and he is now down into 22nd. We're used to seeing Phil over in the Camel GT series more often, but he does moonlight over here sometimes. Let's see. No, that was all on his own.
Oh, yeah. Too hot. Yeah, just going too hot there, hasn't he? And God knows what he hit. He must have hit some sort of bump that lifted the back end there. That's what I'm saying, Joe, that you can be a little bit wider than you normally are and stuff like that, and the car just doesn't do what you expected it to. It's just a weird corner like that. It's got so many lines, and yeah, if you're not in your optimum line, what you know, things like that can happen and you don't expect it.
Look at this. Phil Reed, who we're on board with, is right on top of Viakainen. That Raccoon Racing rear wing, you're going to see that a lot in this series, as they are a very prominent Finnish team that has taken multiple championships here in the Sunday Grand Prix series. But right now, Viakainen currently in 7th, being pressured pretty heavily by Phil Reed. He's getting right underneath that rear wing at times up to the gearbox, but he's going to need to be closer than this up through the Ullman straight. He does get a pretty decent exit. Will this slipstream be enough?
Yeah, Phil Reed. I had to look at that name twice, Joe. There's there's an absolute unbelievable alien called Phil Reed, who's an Australian driver. This guy's a British driver. Maybe this name is done something to these guys, because this guy's on fire as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it goes a little wide out through Sunset Bend compared to Chemo, but is going to be able to hold with him, at least for the time being. Millward setting the fastest lap of the race up at the top. You're going to see that come down as the race goes on, as the cars tend to get quicker while they get lighter. Still watching Reed, just kind of hovering around there up ahead of them. That is Andreas Henkel, who, as I mentioned earlier, is 4th in the points coming to this. He's riding 6th on the track. There's your 3 leaders on screen down to the hairpin of turn 7, still being led by Karjalainen. No change among them.
Yeah, there's nothing to split between any of them, is there, Joe? They're all driving so good that hardly any mistakes. I think Dylan and Phil, the only guys that have dropped it so far. Really good driving from the guys here. And the guys up the front, they're just so on the limit of this car. Look, now on board with Yuka, and now look at the glare, Joe. It's just so hard to see where you're going. This is a nightmare scenario for anyone trying to join these races. This early in the morning, watching the sunrise right in your face, it's just a nightmare.
I mean, I know you're a drummer, but I don't think you wake up at sunset anymore.
No,
but,
well, not anymore, no.
Garcia, by the way, also had a problem in the number 19 car. Doesn't hit anything out of the hairpin. He gets rolling once again. Still all 22 cars are racing right now. Jukka Tolinen, NP3. Still within 1.2 seconds of Karjalainen. Yes, there has not been a change. Yes, we haven't seen much racing up here. But these 3 have been making sure that nobody can relax up here. It's still relatively tight, that a little mistake will probably cost a position. Actually worth noting, though, probably that Partanen is the one that is starting to fall away in the number 2 machine. He's about a 1.5 seconds behind as we come back to Phil Reed once again.
Yeah, just wanted to, I don't really like talking about what happened in the races before this, because, just don't want to tell that story. But yeah, Paulie, I think maybe he's made a setup change that has gone the wrong way, because he was a lot quicker than this earlier on in today. Maybe the guys in front have sorted their setups out and changed things around. I don't know. Maybe it's different weather, what Paulie's used to. I know iRacing has got a habit of throwing up odd weather situations for the races. So yeah, maybe something going on with the car setup.
Ooh, we had a big slide that time from Chemo as he went through the hairpin, but didn't lose the spot to Phil. Thought for sure he was going to wind up down a position. This has brought Timothy Reed in as well, so it's becoming a 3-car fight. And then watch out for that yellow machine behind them. That is Karthik Pai. Now, this Texan isn't always the quickest in raw pace, but during races, he often just picks people off bit by bit.
Yeah, and he likes a fight, don't he, Joe?
He does. He is always in and amongst things, and is very good with his racecraft, that is for sure. Meanwhile, down into Jean Debienne and up to Le Mans. Can Phil Reed finally get this done? Very shallow entry compared to Viekainen, and he's going to pay for that. That was a poor exit coming onto the Ullman straight.
Yeah, it was a completely different line, wasn't it? One was really wide, one was really tight, and here we go again down into Sunset. On board now with Phil Reed. A little bit of understeer maybe in the first part of the corner there. Can't really get on the power as early as the car in front, but fastest lap for Jukka Tolinen now, Joe.
Yeah, he grabs it once again, back and forth between, it seems, he and Millward. Haven't really seen Karjalainen been taking fastest laps, but he is up to about 0.7 seconds ahead of second and third place. So he's managing his own. I guess he's just being very consistent up there amongst them. As there is Reed in that number 4, you can see in the red and black as he swings out of Big Bend towards one of the most popular places to pass here at the hairpin. This corner actually used to go all the way out to where you see that escape road. That used to be the regular racing line. Now it's an emergency exit, I guess, if you will. And since then, this is obviously a lot safer. And because of that, when it was built that way in the 90s, the drivers kind of nicknamed it the safety pin.
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I did wonder that as it goes.
So, thankfully, a lot less drama in that corner with drivers having to worry about life and limb into there. But Yucatolan in here, not as worried about that in sim racing. He's worried about track position, which he has not had since the start of this thing. Still exactly where he began in third. So Alex Millward, who may have had a bit of a rough start off the line, recovered, held on to that second place, and has now just been sitting here waiting patiently. Now, the other thing we have to consider that we haven't talked about, Mick, is that these cars are known for kind of changing their characteristics as the fuel lightens the load. I wonder which of these three is going to have a car that's good both at the beginning and the end.
Yeah, that's a very good point. You can do one of two things. You can change the front bar, you can change the rear bar, you can change both bars, which means there's three things you can do. And so, yeah, the car gets looser as it gets lighter on fuel. And sometimes the guys are saying that they don't have to change. Sometimes they'll change the front bar, sometimes they'll change the rear, sometimes they'll do any mixture of two. There's a few settings you can go as the race goes on. Just looking at this gap, Joe, it's just starting to eke out, isn't it? Just under a second now as we go down to the right-hander. Tough braking zone this is as they head into the right-hander. Then they switch back to the left, and it's hard on the power now.
Yeah, and Tito leading. This is looking pretty similar to what we saw at Fuji last week as well, Mick, because he was leading for the first part of the race, and then he made a mistake and allowed Partonen through. So back to the point you were just talking about, will that change? Will he get it too loose of a car at the end and make that tiny little slip up that opens the door?
One thing I've never thought about is, because you don't really do much of these early morning races, will that affect the cars as well? I'm not too sure, Joe.
I don't know if it's going to be long enough that it'll heat the track up, because right now it's still 73 Fahrenheit. We'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, you're right. As it starts to rise in the sky, it'll probably make it a little bit warmer out there. And has anybody taken that into account as well, as we're on board with Hankel?
Yeah, sorry, Joe. Every time they lose the back end like that, you always think of the worst, don't you? But you can just see the top of the steering wheel there, just over the top of the guy's helmet, Andres Henkel, as he goes into Sunset Bend. Just watch the inputs on the steering. Some of these guys have such strong steering wheels at home, in the force feedback settings. And here we go, right on board now, watching the car in front. And this turn one entry is so scary. He's gone to the left, so the right-hand side. He defends. He didn't really need to defend there, did he? But yeah, look at that commitment all the way out to the curb there. Hard as you can on the brakes now. Oh, he's lost the back end just on entry. And it's those types of little tiny mistakes, Joe, that make a lot of difference in where you are. Again, he lost the back end coming out. Now through the right-hander, it's just a full flat-out right-hander, and then you brake as hard as you can down to this right-hand hairpin.
Oh, we've lost two cars. Now, I'm not sure what happened to Mike Rossimos, because it looks like he's actually been gone for a little bit, but we just lost Heitor Sintes Galindo after he has wrecked in Sunset Bend. So, looks like we're down to 20 now after maybe if you were pushing too hard. We've got a replay up. Is this Heitor? Yeah, that looks like Heitor. And that Valvoline number 17. And no wonder he had to retire. That was right to the gearbox.
Yeah, pretty much the same story as Phil, weren't it?
Yeah, except he was not so lucky. Rossimos, I'm going back to check and see. He only made 3 laps, interestingly. And we're a lot farther into the race than that. Oh, he had some contact, it looks like, with a spinning car out of Sunset. Dylan Freckleton, it appears. So Freckleton's able to carry on. It looks like maybe we have found the incident. Yeah, here we go. Oh, no, he had a wreck already. And, okay, that may have been after his contact with Freckleton, so maybe a lap later, car tried to carry on, and it was not in good enough health. Oh, and Turk and Hankel have swapped positions. We were watching them earlier. Looks like Michael's going to try and fight back, but is he on the outside into turn 1? Hankel trying to hang tough, but look at Michael de Turk, carries the momentum. He's got the track position down into 3, doesn't even have to defend. That was brilliant stuff the long way around.
Yeah, unbelievable commitment there, wasn't it? It is quite tough to keep your foot down and keep your confidence up if you're in the inside of the exit of turn 1 like that. But yeah, pretty impressive. He's all over him now. Michael de Turk goes mega defensive into the right-hander now they go, but he's good on the brakes. He's going to get the apex and he's going to be in front. Yeah, no problem whatsoever there, Joe. Just watching the top speed of Andres, got a funny feeling he's going to be a bit of a nightmare for Michael on the back straight down into Sunset.
Oof, wow, late move there from Hankel. Just trying to see if he could sell Michael a dummy, but no dice. Meanwhile, them fighting has meant that Kimmo Viekainen and Phil Reed are making it a 4-car battle for 5th place now.
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. Look how many cars have been dragged into this just before, just because of that nice move there, So here we go down into the back straight again. Oh, sorry, Le Mans section onto the back straight now, just as we head around the right-hander. I'm just watching Kimmo's car. Let's watch Andres now for this top speed because I've got a funny feeling he's going to be catching up with Michael de Turk for Sunset Bend. Yeah, he's got a bit of an overrun, but the gap's too wide for any sort of move. But yeah, he's got a nice top speed on that car, Andres Henkel. Oh, he's got a nice run into Sunset. Yeah, nice run on the exit of Sunset now. He's right on the back of de Turk. De Turk's going to stay to the left. This is going to be hairy through turn 1, Joe.
It's a reverse of last lap. This time it's Michael to the inside trying to cut in and he loses the car. Hankel is off. He keeps it out of the wall, but there just wasn't enough grip for that 5 car.
Yeah, I like that from Andreas. I know he's lost the back end there, but, he really wanted that spot, didn't he? That's pure fight, that is. I like that. I like seeing that stuff.
Almost looked like he started to lose it as soon as he turned in. I couldn't tell if he just scared himself thinking that maybe he was going to hit Michael or what, but watch him. Here's the turn in. Oh, yeah. It started to go pretty early in the corner and just the tires screamed enough. Thankfully, everybody behind him did not hit into Andreas Henkel, and he is back on the road. Meanwhile, Phil Reed still behind Kimmo Viekainen, but now Kimmo is the next to try and see if he can take over de Turk's position. And as they head through Tower once again, he's going to have to get a little closer than this, especially Phil here, who we're on board with, is starting to fall away off of the fin somewhat.
Yeah, nice fast hands from Phil there. He lost the back end miles. It was a huge moment for him there. Gathered up really nicely. He's caught back up into the exit. Look at the limit of the track there, Joe. He's on the exit of the last turn there. It was unbelievable, right on the edge of the track there.
Yeah, these guys are really pushing it. We've seen so much dust kicked up on some of the corners, especially turn 1, where they have to go right out to the end of it and out of Sunset Bend. Can't really do that here. You can see there's that little bit of grass, and then the wall is right there on the outside of the corner. So there's a raw limit to what you can do. Meanwhile, that's a little wide for Kimmo Viekainen. Phil Reed's right on top of him. Does he try and send it into turn 3? The answer's no.
Yeah, and Tim Reed's behind these guys. He's starting to smell blood from this battle as well. Connection issues for Kimmo there. Yeah, let's hope that doesn't get any worse, because that'll be terrible for Phil. It's a nightmare trying to follow a car when it's got bad connection issues. They're all staying nice and gently through this right-hander. Nice entry for Timothy Reed there. All out the other side, nice and safe.
Yeah, it seemed like Tim was getting very close to Phil, but then couldn't outbreak him into the hairpin. By the way, even though we're 11 laps into this, the top 5 are actually in the exact same position they started this race. That's how hard it's been to find an edge over your competitors. Now, these drivers are all up 1, but only because Andreas Henkel had his spin. Otherwise, it would be, I think, the top 10 would still be in the exact same starting positions of this race.
Yeah, top split, Joe. It's sort of what you expect, isn't it, from these guys? Nice and the commitment and the consistency is what I'm trying to say is up there, for these guys. Just the only thing I can say is Alex's bad start. That would have cost him badly there. It would have still been the same for him as well.
Yeah, exactly. It probably would have been having just as hard of a time trying to get back up past Jukka Tolinen if he had gotten by them. This is really the best battle on track still. We've left the lead because it's about a second and a half between the top 4 each. So this is much, much closer, and there's a good example of what I just mentioned earlier with Phil Reed just dipping 2 wheels into the dirt and living to tell the tale.
Yeah, proper commitment going through there. It's such a tough corner to get right as well. It's one of those corners that you sort of enter it from that wall. You know, like I was saying, these guys are really exploring those limits on the entry at turn 1. The apex is a nightmare to hit. You can so easily just wipe the car out and just bounce off the apex curve there, and then the apex wall rather. And then once you get to that apex wall, it's you know whether you're going to make the exit or not, and it's so tough to keep the throttle regulated, especially if you lose the right hand side tyres onto the mud there. And you can tell why it is mud there, Joe. So many guys hit that on that exit and just, you know, run a bit too wide. So yeah, tough part of the track that is.
Certainly is. And they now come down towards Jean Debian once again. It's a very swift set of S's here that leads into one of the most important turns on the track, off of Le Mans and onto the Ullman Straights. Nobody seems to really be able to find an edge amongst these 5. These cars, even though they have the downforce coming mostly from the under tray of the car, do still experience a lot of the aero wash. I wonder if that's what's causing the stalemate that we're seeing here.
It's another thing we haven't mentioned all season yet, really, Joe. It's the aero washes. That is a massive factor. And speaking to the current champion this morning, Toppy, he was saying that the aero wash is about a good half a second back from the car in front. You know, so yeah, definitely a factor.
Which is about how far apart these guys are. This is all half a second apart right now. So yeah, I think that might be part of the mystery solved right there. They're all just unable to get close enough to really do anything at this track. We're past the halfway mark of the race now. So they're gonna have to start trying to make something happen if they want to get some moves made. And you can see Phil Reed, his stonks have gone up at least 1 position, but no more than that from where he began, and has been stuck here behind Kimmo Viekainen since they had that green flag in this race. Down through Collier once again. I was trying to figure out earlier, because I've mentioned how few have gained positions, who our hardest chargers. We've got about 4 of them that have gained 3, and that's it. Nico Yarva looks like he's gained 3, Xavier Sanchez, Nick Mucanos, and David Rodriguez. Nobody's gained more than them.
Yeah, I was just going to say, just touch on this this battle we're watching. These guys actually look like they're sort of happy to be in this position. I'll tell you, Joe, make no mistake. I mean, you know yourself, these guys are on the absolute limit of their driving abilities to get this car around this track as fast as they can. And it's literally going to be a mistake that causes a bit of a fight here. I'm just watching Phil Reed now. He's right on the back of Kimmo there through Sunset, through the middle of Sunset. Different lines again, Joe. It's what happens is you get that overrun in the middle at the start or at the exit. It always kicks up different sort of, you know, exits on the end. Oh, Kimmo's right on the mud again out of turn 1. And just watching Michael de Turk, but really wide on the left-hander there.
To his credit, Michael's been keeping everybody behind him and held on to this 5th place. So it's been a good defense from the 10 up to this stage, but he still has to do it for a lot more laps. And as they head down into the braking of the hairpin once again, it's getting tight between Kimmo and Phil Reed. It's been a race that has been a bit of a pressure cooker for everybody involved, knowing that they've got to be flat out the entire time and manage to keep from making mistakes. And we've already seen a few of them cost a couple drivers their race. Rasimas and Sintez Galindo out of it. Freckleton involved in one of those wrecks, but is still carrying on in 20th, unfortunately. Looks like he's off pace because of damage, I would assume, for him. Down through Bishop is our drivers now coming into Jean Debian once more. Ooh, this is getting a lot closer for Reed, just about where he could reach out and touch the back of Kimmo's car. This is going to be his best chance yet, Mick, as he's got a huge slipstream down the straight.
Yeah, this is on. It's not necessarily the best thing for Kimmo to go to the right-hand side. He stays left. He might get a nice... Oh, no, Phil's far later on the brakes. He's got it done miles before the exit, but Kimmo's going to get a nice run now. Just going to see what Phil does. Phil doesn't even defend yet. He doesn't have to. He's got it done, Joe.
Nicely done. Kimmo right up to the back of him, but runs out of straightaway by the time they hit turn 1. So patience has paid off if you are Phil Reed. Now he's got to try and catch up to De Turk in front of him. Looks like we may have had a pass for 11th as well. Timothy Vaughn managed to overtake Mikko Jarva in the number 9, and that was into turn 1. Nicely done by the 21 car.
Yeah, just one thing to note, Joe. I was saying about how much these guys are on the limit. Tim Reed has only just caught this battle up now, and it was because of that battle that was ahead of him that he has caught up. Tim's no slouch, mate. You know yourself. Tim's a seriously quick driver, and for him to have trouble catching these guys, it just shows you how fast these guys are pushing.
Absolutely. Ooh, we might have another position change here. This is Hankel. Remember, he's on a recovery drive and gives just enough space. I thought he was going to shove Nico completely off the course there into Cunningham. Thankfully left a car's width, and Andreas is now back into 12th. Nico falls to 13th. So, yeah, it's these guys have certainly been leaving very little out there. This is Alex Millward, currently in second position, 1.3 seconds behind Timo Karjalainen, but no, he does not have the fastest lap anymore. Excuse me, that's been taken away by Karjalainen recently. Last, not this one by, but the previous lap of 45.583. And what do you know? Alex Millward takes it right back once again. And I'm sure it seems trivial, just 2 points, right? When there's 54 for a win, 56 for a win, rather. You'd think that it's not going to mean that much, but as I said, Mick, between Parton and Karjalainen, if they keep racking up these podiums, these top 5s every single race, those 2 bonus points might decide things.
Oh, very much so. I was just going to say, when we were watching Alex there, I was just going to say, before he got the fastest lap, I was going to say, this is why I'm a fan of Alex Millward. He's one of those guys that absolutely never gives up in a fight. He never gives up. He reminds me of someone like Mansell or Alonso or something like that. You know, good drivers that just would never, ever give up. And that's why I like him.
Yeah, he seems bound and determined. Andreas Hankel is very bound and determined as well. He was trying to get a spot on Timothy Vaughn down into the hairpin, but couldn't quite make it stick. He's coming up towards Cunningham right now. You can see him there. We hop on board just behind the car of Timothy Vaughn. Another little fake, but decides not to try and push the issue.
Yeah, good little battle here, Joe. The sun's rising there. Look, it's getting a bit hotter, so let's see what happens to the track. We don't know if it's going to affect the guy's handling or what it's going to do, but yeah, it's worth a note. There are settings you can turn on in iRacing to get rid of that glare, and it's one of the things that I've done before in races, and sort of been told off for doing it as well.
Yeah, it depends on how hard into the realism crowd you are.
Yeah.
But, this is another good run. I think Hankel might try and have a go into Sunset Bend. You can see the Tolman car hanging to the left-hand side. Timothy's not going to fight it. He'll try and run the long way around, taking out most of the cones in the process. It's too long of a way around. Jarva's also going to go by, and maybe even Sanchez, Heike 360, has got a nose ahead, and he is going to be through, so the number 7's into 13th.
Yeah, those cones flying about everywhere, that really puts you off there. Oh, Nico spun it, he's on the exit. Oh, Nico, I saw him do that. I was watching Timothy Vaughn's car, just watching Nico really trying to save the car. He had a good couple of chunks of opposite lock to try and save it. Couldn't do it.
Did he actually hit the wall, though? Because he caught it right at the edge here. Let's watch from on board. He was, if he did hit the wall, it may have been the lightest of touches, so I think he'll get away with it. But yeah, the Finn coming up into turn 1, so experiencing what we were talking about, the car getting loose towards the end of the race. Did he touch? Yeah, again, it just looked like the smallest of glances.
Yeah. Did you see the steering, Joe? 4 goes at trying to save that, bless him. Talk about that. I mean, that's commitment, isn't it? Trying to keep that car on the track. But yeah, he nearly got it. I mean, I'm going to say the actual heat of the rear tyres would have killed that at the end of that one.
No doubt.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. If that hadn't have happened, he'd have been all right.
Meanwhile, on to the back stretch as we follow Phil Reed on Michael de Turk. This is for 5th position. Timo Viikainen just behind him. De Turk, to me, is one of the drives of the race right now. Being able to stand up to the pressure behind him. Timo with another fastest lap. No, we're going to take it. No, it's not going to take it back from this time. And this is looking very close. Reed starting to get right up to the gearbox and then runs out of straightaway by the time they head into turn 1. You were talking about Millward. Alex kind of reminds me of Andy T, honestly, and the fact that Alex is just a pure racer. He doesn't care about all the peripheral things. He wants to go out there, go as fast as he can, and race as hard as he can every lap.
Yeah, and it's not only in the 79, is it? No matter what you see him drive, he's the same guy. He'll just try and fight. If there's a car in front of him, he wants to be in front. There's none of this waiting around for the last couple of laps or anything like that. I want to fight and I want to fight now. That's Alex. That's what I like about him.
Oh, big catch here for David Rodriguez. He was having a side-by-side battle with Mukanos and just could not hang. So Mukanos is going to get that position. Actually, no, he defended it successfully, I should say. He was ahead of him before that battle started. So the 22 still in P15. Meanwhile, we jump back up towards that fight for 5th once again. De Turk versus Phil Reed versus Kimmo Viikainen. Timothy Reed kind of falling away slightly. Same thing with Karthik Pai. What was a 5 or 6 car battle is maybe dwindling down a little bit as others make mistakes and the speed starts to go in favor of those who have saved their stuff.
Yeah, top split battle, Joe, ain't it? It's so hard to call this one. The guys are so consistent in this battle. It's great to watch. Just watching Kimmo now, it's completely different lines to the guys in front, and he really gains there on the exit. This is going to be looking good. If he can nail turn 1, he might have a chance of a run down into the left-hander, but no, he was miles too wide there on the entry.
Yeah, we're right on board with Viikainen, the Raccoon Racing driver, still in 7th position as he tries to set himself up, watching Phil Reed in front. If he can stay close enough, he could try and pounce if those two begin to battle. But we haven't, I'm trying to think, have we seen anybody actually manage to get up besides Michael de Turk?
I don't think we have, no. It's like I say, all these guys are driving really well. They're all driving really consistent races, and it's not for the want of trying. These guys ain't holding back, Joe. You know yourself. So this is a really good battle. I was just watching Kimmo on the brakes into the right-hander. He's so late on the brakes. I'm just going to keep an eye on that as the race develops now. This might be what we're talking about with the car changing as we get to the end of the race. What lap are we on now? 19, so there's only a couple of laps to go now. So this is where it's crucial, where the car needs to handle well,
5 left on the ticker for these drivers. So yeah, it has come down to it at this point. And we were talking earlier about the sunrise and the changing conditions. It's actually only gone up to about 74 Fahrenheit. So hasn't risen as highly as maybe we thought, since it is so early in the morning. The session started 7:30 a.m. virtual standard time here in the virtual Sebring, Florida. As another fastest lap for Alex Millward. 2 bonus points goes back to him. That has changed hands so many times during the course of this race. Up towards turn 1 as Viikainen stays right in the tire tracks of Phil Reed. Nobody able to try and make any inroads on one another, at least for now. But it is now down to 4 laps to go for the drivers.
Oh, de Turk had a massive moment there. He lost at the apex, and Phil Reed was climbing all over the curbs to do something about it, see if he could gain some time. But that's actually hurt Phil there. But just looking behind, Kimmo was not close enough to do anything there. Just watching, Michael de Turk just lost the back end going into the right-hander. It's not enough to give Phil any room to get anything done, though. Again, Joe, I'm talking about mistakes here. These are minimal mistakes. Michael's driving so well to keep these guys behind him. He must be spend the whole race looking in the mirrors.
Well, I mean, he is showing tiny little cracks now, and that's what Reed needs. In fact, he looks a lot closer than he was before. We mentioned that we don't think anybody's actually managed to get overlap with the Turk to try and actually attack. So if Phil can do that, what will happen in the wheel-to-wheel racing from Michael de Turk? And what will Chemo do? Because he's also using this as a great opportunity to get very, very close.
Yeah, whatever happens, Joe, these guys deserve to have good, clean overtakes, don't they? They've driven so well today. Last thing you want to see is cars off in sunset or turn one.
A little bit of a weave from de Turk at first to try and break the slipstream. But he holds straight at the end of the Ullman straight. And look, man, that camera angle really showed you how many different lines. We always talk about it, but none of the 4 cars really followed the same line from that angle into the corner, and they all came out about the same as they went in, the same distance apart. Meanwhile, Alex Millward here on the roll bar cam is about 1.3 seconds behind Karjalainen. That's been fluctuating. It's gone down as low as 0.7 of a second. It's been as high as 1.5 seconds. But Alex is at least keeping pace, even if he can't stay right with him.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Alex will be quite happy with his performance. I think, second spot in this company is obviously a tall order to do for anyone. So to be able to keep in check with Timo is, you're doing well if you can still see him at the end of the race. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, exactly. To be able to keep this close a pace is in itself an accomplishment. We talked about it in the past with he and Partanen. To be able to remain close to each other was in itself pretty impressive, because there's just been no relief at all. And unfortunately, Millward, yeah, I think I heard you make a noise.
Yeah.
I think you made a mistake out of Le Mans there.
It looked like a spin sort of type mistake. I was thinking, oh no, what have we done? And look at the gap, Joe. It's gone down to nearly 2.25 seconds now. So yeah, that was all out of the from the apex on. Look at the weaving going down the back straight there. I think we're going to see a replay of Alex here, are we?
Yeah, let's watch. Let's stay on board here. This will be good. It's into the entry into the back stretch here. So after Jean Evian, still holding steady with him. Nice smooth movements on the steering wheel. Let's see what it looks like here. That's not smooth. That is not smooth at all. Great catch for that slide.
He'll tell you, never in doubt, Joe. Never in doubt, mate.
Meanwhile, before we came to the replay, that was the battle for 5th between de Turk and Reed. De Turk's still trying to break that slipstream. We're back on it now, and it's 2 laps to go. Will Reed start to get desperate? Will he try and send a lunge up somewhere, especially if he gets close enough? Ooh, behind him. Look at that. That is Timothy Reed also on Viekainen. Viekainen's going to have to go defensive down into the hairpin. Reed goes around the outside, but there's just no room on that exit, and he has to slot back in.
Well, that's the closest I've ever seen anyone get a pass done on the outside of that corner, but he's going to head down into the inside now, Joe, and I think he's going to get this done. He was...
Don't know about that.
Yeah, he had to park it on the apex there, didn't he? And Chemo just had enough grunt and power to get off the corner there, but they've lost track with the battle in front now. But great driving by Timothy Reed there. I was just watching Phil Reed earlier. He was climbing all over the curbs to try and do something about Michael then at the first part of the lap, Joe. It's, he really wants this. He's just gauging himself off of Michael, and he's just taking more curb than Michael now. See it now into the last corner onto the back straight. Just watching this. They all seem to be pretty much the same top speed, don't they, Joe?
Yeah, it seems like they've all kind of elected for a similar strategy there as the white flag for our overall leader. Phil Reed unable to catch de Turk, but Viekainen and Timothy Reed are the ones that have been fighting a lot on this lap behind them. You can see them swinging off of Sunset Bend as Phil is weaving back and forth, trying to gain up into turn 1. Can he hold with it? As behind them, there is Chemo still ahead of Timothy Reed, and he will drop him like a bad habit as they come up to turn 3. No pass attempt from Phil Reed, although the car slides. He is hustling it.
Yeah, absolutely on the limit. I thought Phil Reed was going to have a go there down into turn 1. I thought he was going to have a real dive. Sorry, into the next turn, the left-hander. Just watching him under the Mobile Bridge now as they go down to the to the right-hander. A little tiny bit of a gap there between Phil and Michael de Turk now, but we'll see how the last bit of the lap ends.
Yep, they come out of hairpin and still no change of position, but there have been plenty of dramas on this lap amongst them. We're on board with the Texan, looking ahead at Timothy Reed, hailing from Club Atlantic, and not able to do anything that time. Phil Reed and Michael de Turk split by 0.2 of a second, and Michael de Turk finally made a mistake. Here on the last lap, he was slow out of Tower. It's around the outside of Bishop. That'll give him the inside into Jean Debienne. This is what Reed has been waiting for all race long, and he gets it done. He is up into 5th with that move. Meanwhile, up at the very top, it is Timo Karjalainen who takes his 2nd win of the season here today at Sebring.
Yeah, unbelievable move there. I couldn't believe Michael made that mistake, but that's the way it goes. They're on the limit, but I'm just watching him now, Joe. Oh, they're so close to touching there. Wow, what a line through sunset from Michael de Turk there. He gave it everything, didn't he?
That was ambitious. I think Michael knew that it was kind of a now or never and just tried to send it. Thank goodness he didn't run into him, though. Meanwhile, Karthik Pai just a little too far back. He'll stay in 8th as we see Nico now come into 14th, and Nicholas Mukanos behind him, rounding them out. Actually, we had 19 drivers finish on the lead laps. Looked like something happened to Gallus at one point that we missed earlier in the race, but Freckleton will be the last one home as they all slowly finish across the line. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike. My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going? Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings, where they go into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Sebring International Raceway, round 3 of the Sunday Grand Prix Series. Timo Karjalainen fought back after his mistake in week 2 at Fuji and made sure that he had no such error here today. Nobody could touch him, and he took the win. But he and Alex Millward were trading fastest laps back and forth all race long. It went to Timo this time, so he gets the bonus, as Jukka Tolinen had a sort of uneventful race, but was still there flirting around the top spots, waiting for someone to have a slip-up. It just never was forthcoming, and he settled for third where he started. As Pauli Partanen was P4, and Phil Reed wound up snatching 5th right at the end. He's a newcomer to the series and has basically made a name for himself before Michael Deturk was kicking himself for making that mistake on the final lap, but he's still got 6, and I think he should be proud of that one, considering what he was pressure he was under. Timo Viekainen P7 was followed by Timothy Reed in 8th position. Karthik Pai up 1 to finish 9th. Jordan Gronkowski, who we know a little bit better over in the Lotus 49s, did decently today with a top 10 to his name. What's the rest of them look like here, Mick?
Yeah, Andres Hankel, he had the incident in turn 1, didn't he? He had a good fight back there. He's finished there in 11th. Xavier Sanchez in 12th. Timothy Vaughan, 13th there. Nico Hartvey had that huge moment in turn 1 on the exit and ran across the grass. No idea if he hit the wall or not. I'm going to say maybe he did. Nicholas Mercados comes home in 15th. David Rodriguez in 16th. Tony Garcia 17th. Phil Lake 18th. Sunset Bend incident, wasn't it, with Phil? Dylan Freckle in 19th, and 20th was Daniel Garris.
And then 2 DNFs there for Sintez Galindo and Rossi Massa at our 22-car field. But Timo Karjalainen, the winner here today, ready to talk to us after what I'm sure was once again a lot of pressure on him. But Timo, the difference between last week and this week is that you didn't put a foot wrong. Did you take lessons from last week and put them towards here at Sebring?
Oh, 100%. And hey, guys.
Well, welcome and congratulations. So that's 2 wins out of 3, and the other one is a 2nd place. This is looking really good. And you managed to pull one over on Partanen, who didn't have as good of a day. It's seeming like you two are going to have a really hard time separating in the points with how close the margins are this season. Is that going to make it tough to stay on it all the time, every race?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Pauli is super quick. He had a bit less practice this week than I did, which I think showed pretty clearly. It was all down to qualifying again, just getting that top spot and being able to run away and do my own business and not having to worry too much about others.
Now, next week is going to be the Indianapolis road course, but it's the new version, which adds some different challenges from what the old one entailed. Have you had a chance to run that yet?
Oh, I actually didn't run it yet. I ran the old course a couple times. Didn't really like it too much, but I heard it's a bit better than the old one.
Yeah, they took out that long, slow hairpin in the middle of the lap, and I think that greatly improves it. Well, again, congratulations. That was an impeccable run from our perspective. Who would you like to thank?
I'd like to thank Kimmo and Michael once again, and say hello to the JPS guys, Jukka and Pauli. Jukka had a tremendous speed, and of course, not to mention Alex. Alex had a surprisingly good pace here. And thanks to my team, my friends, Peter, Mirka, all those who are watching right now. Hey.
Timo Karjalainen for Raccoon Racing taking another victory up at the front. However, Mick has caught up with Alex Millward, who at least kept him honest, but couldn't snatch that fastest lap away.
Hi, Alex. Mate, I just watched the start back. I just want you to go through that with us. I can't work out what happened. It doesn't look like wheel spin to me. Just go through what happened at the start there, mate.
Hi, Mick. I dropped into 2nd straight away. I don't know how I did it, but a bit of a brain fart. And luckily, I kept the place. I thought I was going to be swamped, to be honest, because I saw the mirror and everyone was coming fast. But yeah, I held on to it after a few corners, which is good.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad after that. I was thinking myself, it was just watching the start now on the replay. But yeah, you lost so much ground there. just in the second phase of that start. Just give us an insight about your pace. I watched the earlier race. Seems like you were struggling a bit for pace. I say struggle. You wasn't quite as quick as you was in the broadcast race just now. I was a big fan of yours today. I was saying one thing I like about Alex is he always pushes. I've never seen him not push in a race. Just as I said that, you got fastest lap. So just give us an insight to your race today.
Well, the race before I had a bit too much wing, and I just risked it this time. Tried to keep hold of Timo, but I mean, man, he just doesn't make a mistake. It's really frustrating because I'm there sweating, and I can just imagine him, maybe looking at his nails and looking over somewhere else in the room, whereas the rest of us are just doing everything we can. Not to take that away from Timo, but I think that's just his talent.
Yeah, I agree. What's your plan for this season? I'm hoping you're going to be sticking around for the whole season and giving it a good go, mate.
Just show up and race for fun. Got things planned on weekends a lot of the time these days. So yeah, if I'm here, I'll race. If not, and you're right, I'll always try and push people and do the overtakes when possible.
Yeah, don't change, mate. Don't change. How you feel about Indy Road next week? Are you going to be there?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. I'll probably do some practice in the week and then see what's going on.
Brilliant. Nice one. Nice to see you, mate. And anyone you want to thank today?
Just all the family. Steve, cheers, mate. Sweet Prince. Thanks, guys. All you lot and CTC.
Well done. Cheers, mate. That was Alex Millwood. And who we caught up with, Joe?
We've caught up with Jukka Tolan in third place behind them. And Jukka was on the other end of Alex's poor start, seeing how tough it was to try and make passes to get anybody to make a mistake. Is that kind of the one that slipped through your fingers there, Jukka, to try and maybe have that one position up?
Yeah, well, firstly, I must say I'm happy with the P3 today. Usually I would not be happy, but I was struggling all week, and also I was able to beat Pauli once. I don't even remember when was the last time I beat Pauli purely by driving. So in that sense, I'm really satisfied today. It went much better than I expected, and well, we had a tight fight during the first lap with Alex, and well, Alex was quite aggressive like usually, so I didn't really want to risk crashing out and losing all the points. So then I was just trying to hang there behind Alex and see if he can catch Timo, which he almost did. Was nice to see. He had so nice pace. And well, then I was just waiting if there happens some mistakes or fighting, and if I will get any chances. So I was even a little bit cruising in the end. I didn't really push all I got to just get that P3. So yeah, for once I'm happy with that.
Well, I mean, it's something that it's starting to feel like you're going to have to be happy with quite a bit, because it seems like Timo and Pauli are often the ones running away with things, and you're kind of hovering around there. I mean, do you feel like the win is possible, that you can do something this season to be there to pick up the pieces, or even maybe, Lord forbid, take the pace to them and beat them on raw pace?
Well, I'm definitely wanting to beat them on raw pace. At some point, I'm kind of feeling I'm living in the shade of Pauli currently. As I said, it's been a while since a long while since I have beat him in pretty much anything. So yeah, I'm desperately wanting to get the first broadcast win. So that's most definitely the goal for me this season, to get the first win, and then hopefully the ketchup bottle opens.
I like that phrase. Well, best of luck on that. And again, it was an amazing drive from you here today. Regardless, you could tell you were pushing. Who do you want to thank for the podium?
Well, Pauli, of course, and well, Timo said hi to us, so also hello, Timo. And I was impressed by the pace of Kimmo also this week, so hi. And well, Michael is always helping, and also hi Dad if you are watching.
as Jukka Tolinen, P3 in the number 3 car, and followed, of course, by Phil Reed, who wound up with a top 5. Mick has caught up with the mystery man here today. Mick, you've got Phil.
Hi, Phil. Great to see you in the booth, mate. Sorry, mate, I got kicked out there. Didn't know what happened, but yeah, great to see you in the booth, mate. Great P5 today. Just talk about that battle you had with the guys.
Oh, it was great fun. Honestly, so intense, so rewarding as well. It's one of the best races I've had in a long time, and fighting with these guys, I know they've been doing it for a while, so I know I can race them pretty well. And just having the pace and racing them, it's just so fun.
Just talk about you made a TV quite a lot today for the obvious reasons of the battle that you were in. I was just paying a lot of attention to your lines through the turn 3, 4, 5 and all that section down to the hairpin. You was climbing all over those curbs to try and catch Michael there at the end. Was that your plan? I mean, did you know what you were doing there? Was it your plan to just try and show yourself in his mirrors at the end and just do what you could?
Well, it was kind of more based on just in general struggling with a little bit of the sliding on the rear, turning into 4. So it was all about setting up for the best exit I could, possibly muster with the struggles that I was having. So going through T2, it was sort of like try to keep that as tight as possible, and then obviously I was comfortable clattering the curb on the right through 3 to then open up to a little bit. Although I noticed in my line, like I don't quite go as wide into 4 as most other people, but I felt like the tighter line sort of helped. I think because possibly I was braking straighter into the corner, it helped without letting the rear slide too much, but still had a little bit of slip, so that they could get the exit that I was most comfortable with. I don't think I was like super fast compared to them there, but I did for whatever reason have a lot more pace in the hairpin, which is unusual for me because I'm usually a little bit weaker through that corner. So I think that was actually my saving grace in getting out of there and then being able to follow a little bit, where I eventually was able to put enough pressure on for Michael to then make his tiny little mistake, which allowed me to get through on the final.
Yeah, that was all it took, wasn't it? That little mistake at the end there. It was constant pressure. Brilliant drive, mate. Brilliant drive. Listen, the Lotus 79's notorious for, really tough on the old steering wheel there. How's your force feedback stuff and setup and all the rest of it on your gear?
Now, so you've asked me an interesting question because I actually don't race on a wheel. I race on controller, so I guess the force feedback is non-existent. So I don't really know. It's just what it is.
When you say controller, you mean you're racing with your thumb, just on a thumb stick?
Yeah, on an old trusty Xbox 360 controller, as always.
All right.
Joe knows.
Yeah, we've got our new alien, guys.
You just made a whole bunch of people sick, I think, right now.
Yeah.
I always feel like that's the case when I say things like that, but I don't know. It's just one of those things that I've just done for so long that it's just comfortable.
That's brilliant, mate. And listen, all the guys out there, like Joe says, all the guys will be gobsmacked. But listen, that is such a great little end to this broadcast to know that you're doing that. What's your plan for the rest of the season? You going to stick around?
Yeah, I can't remember the exact schedule. I think there was a couple on there that I'm not too fancied with. I think it's just tracks that I don't particularly gel with. But yeah, I plan on doing this as my main thing this season for the first time ever. I've jumped in to a couple of these races in the past, and I've done a few way back, in like 2014, 2015. So I've done some races in this car, but never really consistently like I want to do this season. I want to do the full thing. I want to, say a big thanks to all the people that put together, the CTC Discord and all of that to get these SOF races broadcasted and participated in, because it's honestly so good. Like, and people watching that haven't driven this car, come and get it. It's great. So that's all
brilliant,
good.
Mate. Yeah, brilliant, mate. Nice one, Phil. Great drive today, mate. Well done.
Thank you.
What do you think about that then, Joe? Controller.
I suddenly feel incredibly inadequate, frankly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to marinate on that one as we close up with a big thank you as well to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And a huge thanks to the team today, Mick, Ryan, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. We got links down in the description below for that. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. The next race, as we mentioned, will be at Indianapolis, but it's going to be at the road course Sunday, October 9th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts we have listed here, including a little later today, the Sunday Drivers' Cup is at Roots-Kogan at 5 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, though, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.